Oh, raindrops. Happy New Year's Eve. We just finished watching part one of the explosive Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion. And I could not do this recap without anyone but Dustin Ross, who not only is a huge fan of the show and always has been since day one, don't get
Let
it
them know.
twisted, let him know, but he also is just a genius when it comes to giving recaps on all things pop culture and politics. Yes, he is smart. Dustin Ross is the host of BT on, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Dustin is the host of Bet on Black on Revolt, Holding
Yes.
Court podcast with our girl, Ebony K. Williams. Hey,
My
Ebony.
baby. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And part of the co-host on the Friend Zone podcast. So y'all already
Yes.
know who he is. So give it up for my guy, my Detroit player, Dustin Ross.
What up, though? Carlos King, baby. Reality with the King. You know, this is the hot seat, Carlos. Everybody wants to sit here with you. You have then paved this lane and bulldozed your way through as the recap podcast. So, you know, I'm happy to be here. I'm in good company. It's been some asses in this seat. You hear me? So I'm in good company, Carlos. I'm happy to be here. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You're so sweet. Well, thank you for that, Dustin. Listen, Reality with the King podcast has blew my expectations, you know, to reach number one in this crowded landscape of TV and film podcasts. It's been a blessing.
It's a hit, baby. It's a hit.
Listen, it's been great. And like you and I spoke about earlier, 2022 has some peaks and some valleys, but
yes, it did.
You and I, both being from Michigan, we believe in just focusing on the positive and
that's right.
Going that route, because we got to talk about part one of the Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion.
I just clap, round of applause for everyone involved, right? This is what it looks like when people do what they call clocking in. You know, you've heard that jargon amongst the audience that watches your shows, right? This is what happened when every single person involved, every player involved, clocked into work. Everyone, even when certain people were being a little bit more withdrawn or creating distance from themselves in the conversation, it was intentional. And we felt it. It was communicated to us. So it was great. Bravo, first of all. Bravo. Yes.
Thank you. Listen, I tell people all the time, the Love and Marriage Huntsville cast are a stellar group of individuals. I mean, They are the best of the best on TV. I love working with them. They give everything. And what people don't know about reunion shows, so I'm going to give y'all some behind the scenes tea, and then we'll talk about the episode.
Okay.
Even before I started hosting the reunion, like this is me producing reunions for like the Real Housewives of Atlanta, New Jersey. I'm always afraid of like, please just talk. Please just talk. And I'm going to tell you why. For all of my Atlanta Housewives fans, Atlanta Housewives reunions in the beginning was always up or down in terms of good or bad. Season one reunion where Nene almost got out of her chair to do something to Kim was a great reunion. Seasons 2 and 3, exactly.
But season 4 was another knockout.
That's because I was the executive producer of that one. But anyway, so I have PTSD when it comes to reunions. So when my cast delivers, I'm always like you said, y'all clocked in. And baby, this cast was clocked in even from the beginning. So before we even got on stage, you know me, I like to make sure that I speak to the cast. Little did I know that Martell Holt was on the phone with Sheree
Whitfield, right? The gift that keeps on. Isn't that relationship the gift that keeps on giving? It is. It really is, you know. It's juicy. It makes them both way sexier to all eyes that are watching, right? Because there's some people that have forgotten that Martell was attractive because they've been, you know, clouded by sort of his choices, maybe. And then Sheree as well, she had been gone. And so people have forgotten that she was this, you know, fitness-focused woman. And the two of them together, it is a conversation piece. So, but him being on the phone with her, I thought, wow, look at this Easter egg here, okay? Yes.
Easter egg. We may be celebrating New Year's Eve, baby, but we got an Easter egg.
You sure did put it in your basket, Carlos, okay? because there was a few of them that took place in this part one. Okay, there were a few. Yes.
Well, we're going to dive right into it. So, getting back to Sheree, though, Dustin, how did you feel when Sheree told me via the phone that Martell is fine? He's a fun guy. He's a good father. He's a nice guy. And what you see on TV, she doesn't think fully represents the full Martell. When you heard those things, did you feel like, okay, is this a side of Martell that we've been waiting to see? Or do you feel like because we met Martell going through these cheating situations with his wife, that there's been this cloud over him where we only saw that side?
So I had two takeaways from that section of that conversation. And honestly, my first takeaway was focused on Sheree, believe it or not, Martell. It was just a great example of Sheree flexing her muscle as a pro in the reality television space, because within that short section of that conversation, she gave you so much information about her perspective on him, about how she views him, all the questions that we have, because she watched the damn show just like we did, and she knows what we know, right? So we're curious about what her POV of him is. We got just enough of that to leave us wanting to know more. So Sheree knows what she's doing when she's answering your questions. And I was like, damn, she's good while she was answering that. That was my first takeaway. Second, I am happy to, as a viewer, as a member of the audience that has been watching this show since day damn one, episode one, season one, okay? I'm a person who is eager to move beyond the thick cloud of smoke that Martell's infidelity has become, and its many offshoots that have risen from his choices. So I'm ready to move on. I'm happy that Sheree can cast a different light on him. I just don't have much faith that he'll be able to take the ball and dribble from there, because this isn't the first time that we've been given an opportunity to look at Martell in a different light, but somehow he always brings us right back by his choices, by the things that he says, the things that he does, like the conversation in the car with him and his mom, Marlene, who we'll touch on the moms a little bit later. But like the conversation that they had when they dogged Melody out in their car, completely unprompted. And we're like, damn, we were rooting for you, for both of you, to be honest. And here we are again. So I'm excited to see a different side of Martell and see some positive, more light energy from him. But I'm hopeful that he will this time do the right thing with this fresh start.
I am too. And that's why, listen, child, I ain't gonna tell you how I almost had to sell myself on the corners of Hollywood Boulevard to get Sheree to at least get the phone call released for the show, child. Because what y'all don't know is a
lot of situations in there.
A lot of politics in this game of network television. We'll get to that on another episode. But anywho, yes. I really fought for that phone call to happen because of what you said. Listen, I love Martell. I love the entire cast. I always tell Martell this. I want the world to see, the other side of you that I know exists. And not to give anything away, but you'll see in the other parts of the reunion my deep conversation with him, because I felt that Sheree, who is a huge Love and Marriage fan as well, she watched the show. Me and Sheree, this is maybe key for y'all. Me and Sheree, because me and Sheree are super close. Then I would have dinner and talk about Huntsville, and she and I would just have a good time. She would ask me questions like, bitch, what's going on? So the fact that they were dating, I was super surprised. And then for her to know that, wait, I'm seeing another side of this guy that I watched on TV for 5 years, I felt it was important for the audience to see that someone who watched the show knew what they saw on the show, but made sure she saw what was given to her in person and face to face, and that she walked away saying, like, that guy to me doesn't exist. And I think it goes to show you that it's the evolution of Martell that I'm hopeful that the fans will see this upcoming season.
You know what else that is, Carlos? It's actually a reminder to the fans, to the audience, to just kind of keep it where it belongs, right? It's very easy to form strong opinions about the personal character or lack thereof of these cast members on this show that is meant for our entertainment. So the fact that Sheree was able to mine some sort of authenticity from him and see him in a different light that would make her make a life choice, like publicly aligning herself with him, that's a reminder that we don't know the totality of these people. We don't know the totality of their characters. We don't know them in it. We don't know them, period. We watch them on the show. And so since she was able to watch him just like us, but had the opportunity to actually get to know him personally and was able to make that choice, it's just a reminder that we don't know these people beyond the minutes that we're presented with them, viewing them on television.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I also didn't know was that I was going to be in the presence of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as I was.
Wasn't that hilarious? And true. And true. And true. It always sounds like Maurice is reading from a scroll, right? When he starts talking, it's like he rolled up the scroll and thou for out now, and all those things. But we love it. This is such a smart cast. Even when they do dumb shit, they still smart. You know what I mean? This is a smart cast. I love it. He read like the 10 Commandments. You know he does.
Not Jesus and Lazarus, child. Maurice, who's a lawyer, he was valedictorian when he was in law school. Like, Maurice is one of the smartest men that I know. Like, no cap.
Yeah,
Maurice
seriously.
he's very smart. When you saw that exchange between he and Melody about the fact that, listen, Melody came on my late night show, The Nightcap with Carlos King, and called Maurice the least irrelevant person on the show. And then Maurice did an interview where he said that Kimmy and Melody weren't really, the best of friends, and Melody felt like that was shade. What was your take on that? Was it two people going shade at each other? Were you on Melody's side? Were you on Maurice's side?
Well, I'm full transparency. I love and support Melody. I always have from the first episode of this show.
Are you a Melometer?
I am card-carrying member, and that doesn't mean that Melody is infallible in my eye. It doesn't mean that she's without fault. It doesn't mean that she doesn't make mistakes and or poor choices, because she does. However, and that was one of them. Now, I do like that she stood in it. But I wish she would have just stood in it. You don't have to attribute that. I kind of feel like she's taking issue with things that could be overlooked otherwise. When it comes to her relationship with Kimmy and Maurice as a couple, and both individually, there hasn't been a lot of negative overlap. There really hasn't been any bad blood. And I think that when she has multiple relationships surrounding her in this cast that are broken, it's something to be cherished when you have those sort of connections that are still pure. Kimmy has proven herself time and time again to be a fair person to Melody and concerning Melody. And I wish, as a fan of Melody, that she would value that a little bit more in her choices, especially considering what's going on with Kimmy now alone. That in and of itself, suggests that grace should be given at this point. But beyond that, Kimmy has done nothing to she's done nothing to cause any sort of dissension amongst her and Melody. And I just wish that Melody valued that, considering the fact that she has a broken relationship with Letitia, a broken relationship with Marceau, a broke ass relationship with Martell. Okay. And the other people the other subsidiaries, I like to call them, like Destiny and Stormy and, and Kiki, the others, the others. Okay. We need to talk about the others, and we need to talk about the mothers, Carlos. Are you ready to do it? Because we got to talk about the others and the mothers. We got to talk about those two groups of people. Okay?
The others and the mothers. Well, before we get to that, let's get to another.
Okay. All right. Let's do
I ain't messing with you.
Hey, let's do it, Carlos.
Y'all see why I love this guy. Okay. So one of the people on Twitter mentioned that they feel like Melody is becoming Nene Leakes. And what they're saying about that is they're concerned that, okay, is Melody becoming somebody who thinks she's bigger than the show, or somebody who hasn't really allowed herself to reform these relationships with these people, There has been a few fans that have said that. And by you being a millimeter, and by the way, the millimeters love to read me for some odd reason, which I don't know why, but I love y'all. And me and Melody get a kick out of y'all reading me, just so y'all know. We laugh at it. So keep it going. But what do you have to say to that?
You're such a good sport. You know, I do see parallels in some of the disposition that I've seen Nene, you know, present, say during seasons 6 and 7. You know, I do see the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I do see a parallel between that and some of the behaviors that Melody is exhibiting. The difference is Melody is responding to behaviors from other people on this cast with creating distance between herself and them. And sometimes that can be misunderstood as being haughty or thinking that you're better than the show, whatever that means. But in this case, Melody can't think she's better than the show because Melody is the show. This show was centered around Martell and Melody Holt and their relationship and their relationships with the people around them. The show has never been about Letitia and Marceau's relationship with Kimmy and Maurice, at least not yet. The show's never been about those outer line. Melody and Martell were the undeniable nucleus of this show. It just is what it is. And Melody, much to her credit, has proven to be quite resilient, so much so that she's consistently evolved, consistently entered new spaces in media. I loved her hosting the Behind Every Man show. Was that the name of it, Carlos?
Yes, it was.
Incredible.
Yeah.
She was an incredible host. I do television hosting, so damn it, I know what I'm talking about. She was good, and I want to see more of her doing that, more of her in those spaces, because she's a natural and she deserves the opportunities that are going to come from her being visible at such a high level, since everybody watches Love and Marriage Huntsville. So, you know, she's so visible, you know, why wouldn't she take those opportunities? It should then, I would think, trigger a little thought amongst her other cast members like, oh, okay, well, instead of bringing out puppets on the stage, maybe I should be putting myself out there. Everybody wants to lean into this. I'm a mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a wife. I'm a this. Where's your podcast about that you're dedicated to and consistent to weekly? Where's your pilot that you shot for a mom-based talk show, you know, reaching out? Where are those things? You can't get mad at a person like Melody for doing that's biblical. You know, if you believe in the Bible, you know that it says, good for nothing slave, what you do is what you ought to do, right? So you don't congratulate a baby for making their bed. You should take this visibility and this attention and turn it into something fortifying and also edifying and also, you know, financially gainful for yourself. If you're not, what are you doing? Why are you just sitting around? Why? Now, do I have this wrong, or is that not a legitimate take, you know?
Well, I think I need to ask my raindrop. So make sure, because I ain't stepping into that.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know, that is specifically for those people who like to create that conversation that Melody thinks she's better than the show. No, she doesn't. She's being smart and wise with the time that she has at a level of peak visibility like this. Okay, yeah. Which is exactly why she was able to continue on using her builder's license, okay, because she was prepared and making sure that she was dotting her I's and crossing her T's that Martell still has not gotten. I wonder how he felt answering that question on the reunion stage about not having his builder's license. I wonder how. I wonder why that wasn't an action item on his list. But those are the things that give us a window into, you know, why he may have made some of the choices that we've seen him make. And I'm not a Martell basher. I'm a person who appreciates Martell's presence on this show, but he does things and says things sometimes that we just simply cannot defend. And I also would like the record to reflect, because nobody ever says this, right? People just pick apart Melody's choices, pick apart her, quote, attitude or whatever. No one ever says, but you know what? We are here at this crossroads because Martell did this. That's why we're here. And I think that needs to be a focus when people are assessing Melody and judging some of the choices that she makes in the way that she interacts with the group. We're at that crossroads because of a choice that Martell made that she had previously forgiven him for. So she was in that for the long haul. At a certain point, you know, you have to confront your happiness or the lack thereof. And she did that. But I don't understand why that vilifies her in so many people's eyes. I wondered that, right? Like, why is she a villain for finally choosing to do what worked for her, right? She doesn't bash Martell. All of her behavior is a response to me. So that's just how I see it.
Those are really good points. And what is so interesting about all of that is that's something she and I talk about personally in our conversations. And one thing I always say about Melody, and I'll say this because it's true.
Yeah.
She's still the same person I met 6 years ago. Like, she hasn't changed to me. She and I still have the same level of conversation we've had 6 years ago. I've worked with other reality stars where their ego got so big that it was hard to even talk to them.
Yeah.
Where I literally had to struggle to like get some sense into them.
I would love to ask you to put a name on it, but I'm just not one of those messy. I'm not one of those messy, media personalities. So I'll leave it there. But inquiring minds would like to know.
It's too many to count.
Woo!
And that's the gag, and that's why.
Okay.
That's why. Look, one thing I will say about the Huntsville cast is they are still. Look, I don't lie. They are still the most humble group of people that I have ever worked with. And
that's why the show is still good. That's why it's still good, because it's still authentic.
Yeah, and listen, they have their moments where I'm like, but that's life. But like I said, I've been around the block where there's been some people who have egos been so crazy that I don't talk to them anymore. But anywho, moving on into the show. Speaking of puppets, when Letitia Moore-Scott decided to go to Michael's and do some arts and crafts and have puppets, where you got to give Tisha some props.
Mm-hmm.
That wig that she had in the puppet, that was Melody
the
season
1. Season 1, yeah, it was. Which all that means is that Letitia's been seeing Melody through those eyes since season 1. That's all that means. It's the fact that she took it back there. Now, it does.
No. This. Mm-hmm. I love talking to you because you're so fucking smart.
Yeah. Thank you, Carlos.
You just said, okay. Mm-hmm. I thought that was interesting. So Tisha Puppet had Melody's season 1 wig. Mm-hmm. That was Melody's real hair, but the wig was
the same style, the blonde piece coming over to the side, which was chic at the time and looked great on Melody. She can wear she's such a chameleon, right? She can wear a different hairstyle. She can.
I beg Melody to break that hairstyle because I love it. I think it's such a staple. It's like Brandy's braids to me.
Yes.
It's when you see that hairstyle, that's Melody Hull's hairstyle. But you just knocked me off my feet. So you feel that the reason why Tisha purposely chose that particular hairstyle was because in your mind, you think that's who Tisha still sees when she looks at Melody today.
I do. I definitely do. And I think that's a choice on her behalf because they've all evolved. This is about, you'll never get, an unfair POV from me, right? So there's been an evolution on Letitia's behalf for sure. She has gone and gotten her master's degree in front of our face. Beck, I love the fact that you made a note to highlight the fact that she was majority owner of Scout, right? Which is a huge thing for a Black woman in fucking Alabama. That's huge, okay?
Go Tisha!
Letitia, she's got so much more confidence, so much more of a presence on the show. I just hate that it's got to be rooted in conflict. And therein lies the difference between what a Melody can contribute to the show and what a Letitia can contribute to the show. Because when it was all good amongst the original 6, Melody was still a fan favorite. Once the stories became sort of more conflict driven amongst Letitia and Melody, that's when Letitia kind of found her own in a space of conflict, in a space of bucking up against or trying to position herself as a fit opponent. It was never in the spirit of togetherness. It was never I'm Letitia and I'm interesting to stand strong on my own with my own personal story. It was always I'm leaning into this conflict between Melody and myself. And that is where she found her strength. It's just unfortunate because I personally think Letitia's smart. And when she's being funny and having a good time in the scenes, I really enjoy her. It's not until her and Destiny are both losing arguments consistently with Melody on the show that I'm disappointed again. You know what I mean? So I think that's the difference between the two. So her putting that hair on the puppet, it's not surprising to me. I think Letitia resents. Man, I think a lot of that conversation about Melody thinks she's better than the show, it comes from Letitia's commentary and her pushing the like button on comments, online, things like that. And I think that in her mind, she minimized Melody's growth and evolution. Melody literally looked so beautiful on that reunion stage with that metal bust on her dress and the beautiful sequins, the sleek hair, which looks so good on her. There's an evolution there, okay? Letitia looked beautiful on that reunion stage too. There were different executions, you know what I mean? Both still look beautiful, but you can see the growth and you can see what she was trying to diminish or remove by putting that piece of hair across that puppet. That's what that was.
That is so deep. Okay,
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't even think about that when I saw it because I was too busy reacting to the fact that I am now on the Muppets, and
Right.
I'm like, where's Kermit? Where's Miss Piggy? Like,
all right. Well, they were on stage too, but the thing about it is, this, right? We gotta have fun with it, right? We gotta have fun with it. But I just think that's a testament, though, to Letitia's credit, right? That's a testament in her growth as a reality television professional, right? She's learned different ways to maybe infuse a little more energy into her presence, be it having a prop on the reunion, not a new concept, it's not Kenya Moore's scepter from the Real Housewives reunion or any of those things. We've seen props before. Monique flawlessly executed the binder prop on the Real Housewives of Potomac. We've seen props work, and this worked for Letitia. Honestly, the cast got a good laugh out of it. The audience enjoys it for sure. So good for her for doing it. But again, it's another example of her kind of surfacing or coming to the top as a person who is rooted in some sort of conflict with Melody. These are the moments when we get to see Letitia kind of come to the front. And I just wish that we got to see her shine in a different way because I think it's there,
Oh no, it's certainly there. And listen, I've said this on the podcast. I said this to the audience on the Love and Marriage special we did last year. Tisha has grown into being the woman she was destined to be. I enjoy watching Tisha. Tisha makes me laugh. First of all, I think Tisha is one of the most beautiful women on television.
Carlos, I text you and told you we have to say this because when she was in that kitchen at Kimmy's house when Marceau cooked dinner for them and they all met and Kimmy communicated that, Letitia looked stunning in that blush colored dress with the long straight hair. She looked so. I text you. I said, Carlos, Letitia looks beautiful in this scene. I think she's beautiful too. And again, I have to be fair in my commentary that I provide on this show because you just have to be fair. You have to tell the truth. And I think that there's a lot of good in what Letitia can potentially contribute to this show that we're not seeing because she's so conflict focused. Even her friendship with Destiny, right? And I use that word loosely, the air quotes, her friendship with Destiny. When did they link up? Why are they cool, Carlos?
Yo, you asking me?
Mm-hmm. And that response right there lets you know what it is. It's all rooted in being the ops. That is not a real. That is not a connection that fosters anything, and it's because we are still waiting on someone to take those paddles that they use on the back of the ambulance and they go clear. We need those on Destiny. Okay. We need those on Destiny. Destiny's got to give us a little bit more than she's giving us. And we're not interested in seeing her lose another argument with Melody. She looked ridiculous at the opening of Madani. Beautiful, huge beauty supply. Melody comes in the door and says, "Hi, Destiny. You so mad and in your anger, just so determined to have steam coming out your nostrils that you don't even miss Melody greeting you in your space and then stick your face out there and say, she ain't even coming here, ain't say nothing, say hi to me. She ain't coming here, ain't saying nothing to me." What? What are you doing? What are you doing? I've been rooting for Destiny since she appeared on this cast, but she was so eager to lean into the Melody separation, to lean into the wedge between her and Melody as friends. And that to me is distrustful, right? It makes you not trust a character when you see them just abandon the relationship that you were introduced to them through. Same thing that's going on right now on Real Housewives of Potomac with Jacqueline and Mia, right? The friend Jacqueline, we were introduced to you as Mia's best friend, and now you all are at a point where you're posting personal videos of really personal conflicts in your family to try to sway public opinion of each other. When you were introduced to the audience as friends of someone or as a close childhood friend of someone else, it looks bad when you guys fall out and it's just so quick. You know, you're so quick to respond to these things and not even try to fix a relationship, which is what Destiny did on Love and Marriage Huntsville in the fallout between her and Melody. There was never a period of, girl, we'll be all right. Let me just fix this. Or I know you was going through that or anything. There was she did this and I didn't like that. And now it's here. She was almost eager to kind of beef with Melody, and it just don't look good. It looks just like Kiki looks going on the show talking about Letitia. Looks the same way.
Let's get into Kiki. So Kiki, first of all, the jeans in Tisha's family.
Kiki's gorgeous, yeah.
Kiki's beautiful. And listen, y'all can say what y'all want. Miss Wanda is a beautiful woman.
Yeah, her actions don't reflect it, but she is. I would never call those women ugly because they're not ugly women. They're beautiful women. They are.
Beautiful. Tisha got some good genes when it comes to the family bloodline. So
yep, the women's side. What's his name? Buster. Let's move forward. Yes, Carlos. The women's side of the family. I told you we're gonna be fair.
Okay. You see this, babe? I'm laughing so hard. I have a vein pop. I need to call our friend.
You seen Buster just like we all did, and he said what Melody said. Melody told him, "Wasn't you saying you was gonna bust at me or whatever? Why would I say it? You nigga, you said it. You said it, Buster." Melody handled that. But anyway, yes, the women in Letitia's family are beautiful, Carlos.
Okay. That's good. This is a mess, and I'm here for it. So Kiki came onto the reunion looking beautiful. And obviously that's why Tisha brought up the puppets, because she felt that Kiki is Mel's puppet. So when you were watching it and Tisha was saying like, no, you told Melody this about us, you went back and told this. And I was like, wait, it appears that Kiki, you were a double agent. Do you feel like Kiki's loyalty is to Melody, Kiki, or the TV show?
It's to Kiki and the TV show. And it's to the TV show because Kiki is now on the TV show. She's completely focused on herself and putting her, she wants attention. Let's call it what it is. She wants attention. Everything is rehearsed. There is a clear and present lack of authenticity from Kiki. Okay. Again, a person who sort of like how, let's really get into it, right? It's sort of like, and you can excuse the Harlem motorcycle rally outside, right? But it's just like how on Real Housewives of New Jersey, right? Let's go to the break between seasons 2 and 3, okay? At the season 2 reunion, when Danielle made mention of Teresa's family, right? Teresa Spazzes, okay? We've, in the 2 seasons that we have been enamored by Teresa at that point and fascinated by just her as a personality, we didn't know anything about her family and any family issues that she had. She never brought them up to be of interest. But season 3, who pops up on the scene? That sister-in-law Melissa and that brother Joe. And why are they there? What happens in the first damn episode at that christening? They're fighting with Teresa. And when she comes over to the table to try to appear and, to have some sort of unified front with them, they tell her, you know what, get the fuck out of here. They immediately, they go straight into it.
He called her garbage. His own sister garbage. Yeah.
So their purpose, their presence on the show, what made them of interest to join that show was their conflict with Teresa, not them as personalities, not their life, which, yeah, they had the house, they had the kids, they had the whatever to like make this thing work, to make the pieces work of them being on the show. But that's not why they were brought onto the show. They were brought onto the show because of their relationship. Kiki is the same damn thing. Kiki was not, y'all picked Letitia. Not Kiki. Kiki is on this show. She's one of the others. That other circle, her, Destiny, Stormy, Tiffany, and Lewis. You know, that's the others. And you got the original six, the others, and then the mothers, right? So she lives over there in that space of the others, and she wants to be involved right in the middle of this. So she goes straight to the conflict between Melody and her cousin Letitia. And she knows that it is shocking to see a person, especially a Black person, especially a Southern Black family, have that sort of discord. You know, those families are rooted in togetherness and in family values and principles and things like that. So to see a cousin go against a first cousin like that, it's odd. And it makes you want to know more about what that breakdown, you know, what caused that breakdown. So now she's sitting on the couch in a gown. And yes, we can talk about how beautiful she is, but we're only talking about that because she happens to be there, not because she's a person of interest. And that's what I mean about those subsidiary relationships like that. Like that's you want to be associated with there. You want to be the person who came and went against the family. And for what? And Melody, she's such a master at this. Melody has not done one thing where you can flat out say, you talking to Kiki because you mad at Letitia and that's her cousin, and you encouraging her to have these negative conversations because of that. Melody's doing just enough to put the pieces right where they belong and watch the puppets dance. That's what she's doing. The real puppet master on the stage ain't Letitia, it's Melody. And so, hey, you know, we love to see it. We love to see it, Carlos.
Mm-hmm. And that's why she gets a producer credit. So
that's right.
I'm having fun with y'all. Okay, so look, the biggest jaw-dropping moment of this episode, it was two. So before we get to how we concluded it, I want to go back to the moment that even went viral before the reunion aired tonight. I'm talking about sex parties and Beyonce's Renaissance album. So, because everything always goes back to Beyonce because we love her so much.
Yes.
So it was rumored through Twitter that there were sex parties at Credit One, which is Maurice's establishment. He said emphatically it's not true and that people are going to find themselves in a lawsuit, people who orchestrated the story. Kimmy, listen, you can say what you want about Kimberly. That's what I call her. Kimberly. When she said, nah, let's keep it a buck.
My office was on top of Credit One, baby, and I was not.
I don't think people give Kimmy enough credit.
I love Kimmy.
Kimmy will throw herself under the bus if it means it's the truth of the matter. And that's what y'all don't give Kimmy enough credit on. Kimmy has never lied, never been caught in a lie. Kimmy could say something and it's like, y'all can think I was wrong for that, but at the end of the day, that's my truth. And you got to be like, well, bitch, I
respect it. You can't help but respect that.
Right?
And that makes her so valuable to this cast too, Carlos. So valuable. It's the authenticity. It's the rock. It's the person who the viewers can trust in that way. And that, I think that's Kimmy's superpower. It endears us to her. And much love to Kimmy. She's always been one of my favorites, but much love to Kimmy. I love the way she handles herself as a part of this cast.
Love me some Kimmy. And I loved her even more when she said, nah, let's keep it a buck. I had an office on top of that. And she said, that's where guys, you know, that's why Black was created. It was created because these men wanted to have a place where they allegedly listen to music and smoke and play games. So before I get into my response, and I would love to get your opinion, a lot of the fans said that there were guilty looks on Martell's and Marcel's faces, especially Martell's reaction, because they felt like, and I want to get your opinion, when Kimmy made that declaration and they talked about the sex parties and what this office space was used for, Martell seemed to have a chuckle at it, and it appears he knows more than what he's not saying. Did you get that same vibe tonight?
Absolutely. But I also by no means think that there were sex parties going on at Credit One, okay? Were they going to Credit One after hours and doing what people do? When you have friends that are entrepreneurs that have brick and mortar spaces, they close down as they're locking up their space, and your friends come in, and you might be in the back drinking and talking shit, and venting amongst friends and having that sort of camaraderie. Absolutely. Within that space, if they are really down for bro code, one of them that may have had may or may not have had an extramarital affair, may have had that person come up and meet them in the parking lot to talk or something like that, but they wasn't in there fucking in front of each other. And that's not going on. Hate to bust everyone's bubble, but these are not sexually driven, people like that. No matter how much Mari says that he wants Kimmy to have sex with him twice a day, which was ridiculous because that ain't how you get it.
But he also said that he had sex with 6 women in one night.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, he said that.
He did say that last season, but I didn't believe him when he said that last season. We said Kimmy ain't lied, but we damn sure didn't say Maurice ain't never lied, okay? Because we didn't caught Maurice in a lie. So, it just is what it is, but I don't get,
but
and
wait,
I've been a lot of places. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where I'm going. You went viral, I think it was last year. It may have been earlier this year, maybe last year. So you live in Harlem.
Yes.
You have house parties.
Mm-hmm.
One of them went viral because you had a lot of good-looking people in your house. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. That was actually 420 last year.
Okay, and last year, 420, you had some stallions at your house, baby. and everybody, gay, straight, women, men, was like, everyone looks good. One of the men, I don't know him, he gave you a fuck me eye look, and we were all like, I said, what's the tea here? So I'm going to keep you honest if you want to spill everyone else's tea.
Okay, let's go.
Do things happen at your house after hours?
Well, no, because I don't mean as for me and my household, you know what I'm saying? We don't do all those things over here, okay? Which is why I can sit here and say with confidence, okay, that I don't believe they was in there busting it open at Credit One. I know what it's like to have a nice little set, have your friends over, have a little conversation. Some people may be attractive, some may not, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's called being grown. But that don't mean that at 12:01 the lights go out and the red light comes on and then everybody is doing this wild, Sodom and Gomorrah ass party. That ain't how it works, okay? Those things do exist. I've been in a lot of spaces and I've seen it enough to know that ain't it, okay? That ain't it. The linebackers weren't in Credit One. They was in Atlanta, okay? They was in Atlanta, all right? The Falcons is in Atlanta, right? Okay, all right.
Not you call it the linebackers, Atlanta Falcons, Lord.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it. Maurice. It might take him a minute to get to the point sometimes, but Maurice ain't that damn slow enough to have a sex party in Credit One. Okay, so no, I don't think so.
Do you think Martell? What do you think Martell's agenda is? Because a lot of people caught on tonight that he'll make little digs like, "Is that why you went to Africa?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Carlos, she naive too? Mm-hmm. Or, please don't have me answer that question because I don't want to get you in trouble. Mm-hmm. What do you think all of that's about?
Two different things. Number one, this is not Martell's first rodeo, so he knows how to be a valuable player in an ensemble cast on a reality show. So he knows what things to highlight, what things to bring back to the front of the conversation to keep things going. So he's doing his job in that place. But also we've seen enough conversations between Martell and his mother, Martell and his ex-wife Melody, and Martell and his castmates to know that Martell is very immature. And so much so to be in a place that he doesn't want to be the only one. I'm not going to be the only one who messed up here. Even though I messed up, well, yeah, they did too. So I want y'all to know, see, look at them too. See, that's how all of his commentary comes off. It's like, now, nope, see, look, they did see them, see what they doing. So he doesn't want all of the spotlight on him and his poor choices. So he gleefully, offers shines a light on it. He shines a light on any little crack in the conversation that he finds to kind of, move the conversation beyond him and his poor choices. And I have to say, I sit back, Carlos, and I watch it and say, okay, good, because they don't even pick up on it. They get caught up in defending themselves against what he said instead of seeing him moving these chess pieces around on the board. So I'm like, good, Martell. All right. That's why he's lasted. That's why him and Mel, they're so strong on an ensemble cast that they've been able to last beyond divorce on a show that's literally called Love and Marriage. And thanks to masterful production, you know, who figured out a way to keep these stories going amongst this group of people, even though there's been a break, you know, in between two of them and their union. And you get to show that side of marriage and the dissolution of it as well. So it's great, it works, but it's also because Martell does things like say, well, ain't that why you went to Africa? And little nuggets like that. That's him being good at his job on this show. I wish he translated into other spaces for him. I do.
What was your translation when Melody referred to Marcel's body as legs, hips, and breasts?
Again, you know, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but I don't care. I listen. There's no rules in a fight. Okay. Yes, and much like Candace from Potomac just tweeted, I think a couple of days ago, she said, "Hey, you know, if we're in a fight, I'm going to throw the daggers at you, and it may include some sort of body shaming." I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but we all saw Marceau on the episode when Melody had the conflict with Wanda outside of Madani, and he got into the physical thing. We saw that shirt in the show. We saw all that. So we knew what Melody was talking about when she said that. And it was funny. I was so glad that he was much. One thing, give Marceau his credit, okay? Marceau has learned how to have a verbal disagreement with the women on his cast and not enter into a problematic space of arguing with a woman. He keeps his cool every time. And I love that because it shows that it's possible to have a verbal disagreement with, you know, between a man and a woman on this cast without it entering a space of, you know, misogyny and just all this negative stuff. He keeps it surface level with her, even when she's offensive to that point where she talked about, you know, his physicality, you know, he still kind of kept it above board and it didn't ever enter a dark space between them. And I like that about Marceau. I think he's good at that.
Yes. He is. I love, listen, Marceau, what else I love about him, he gets it.
Yeah, he does. He definitely does.
He gets it. And to me, I feel like Marceau represents a lot of men who, because there's a lot of men who just don't go back and forth with the woman. They're like, I'm not doing that. And if you say something about me, my clap back is going to be met with a little comedy, but you know that I mean business. And I think he plays that balance so well. And Marceau really does. When we're done, Marceau is onto something. Like, he really doesn't take it home with him. Yeah. And
you can tell.
He doesn't. I think when it comes to this cast, particularly, I'm just gonna say it. I think they all feel like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
The six of us in Huntsville, Alabama, would have the #1 show on Oprah Winfrey's network, and we're making money. And although we're not at the best place in the world, we're still having fun.
Yeah.
And I think especially Marceau, I think Marceau sits back and is like, this could be worse. And honestly, this shit is, I can find the comedy in all of this.
I agree. And I just wanted to stay there, right? I think he has a great take on this whole situation. I did get a little nervous when Kimmy and Maurice were describing the realities, right, of the relationships among the original six. Like, no, we're all not besties, you know. Everyone was kind of spirited in announcing that they weren't besties, and I didn't like that. I think that one of the things that makes us feel comfortable as viewers, as the audience, in all of these peaks and valleys of the interpersonal relationships amongst the cast members is that we believe that they are the original six. And at the end of the day, there's a thread that ties them together, which is why we love scenes like we hate the circumstance, right? We hate that Kimmy is dealing with a cancer situation, a cancer diagnosis, and much love to her and her recovery from that. But it felt good to see the cast rally around her at that table and support her. It wasn't a fight, but Martell got up and hugged her. You know, it was good to see that the way that Melody, and that's why you say what you want about Melody Holt, Melody Cherie, and then the Holt, as Martell like to add on the show. But Melody Cherie, when it's time, she taps in. She didn't prod when Kimmy first said she didn't want to discuss what was wrong. Melody let her know she was there for her and let it go. When Kimmy said what was going on, that was sincere. The way that Melody was looking at her at that table, That's what it's about. And as
Yes.
long as that exists among this cast, then we can enjoy the fights. We can see the fights. We can see the whatever the disconnect. And as long as they can get to that point always, then it's still a fun show to watch.
Oh, and they will, which is why I had to fly to Huntsville a few weeks ago to make sure that they all understood that assignment. Because I agree with you. I agree with you. Listen, at the end of the day, there's, and I said this, I think it's part 3 reunion. There's just something magical when those 6 are in a room together. I can't describe it. It's this entire show to me is lightning in a bottle. It's one of those situations to where you just can't cast this type of group of people that have staying power. It's special. It's special. So I'm glad you noticed that. So we see that this reunion cliffhang with the revelation that Tisha discovered a woman in Marceau's phone.
Thanks,
What?
Kiki.
Kiki, do you love me?
I will say that, and apparently she does, because she came in there and got the job done. Now, I will say, because I watched the show. So it took us this many seasons to get to that point, which we already knew that, right? But Kiki finally got it there by putting it out there. I think it's only so far that Melody is willing to go with that, and Martell, obviously, because they know what's up. Maurice is Marceau's brother. He ain't gonna say shit. Melody and Martell have some respect for their marriage between Letitia and Marceau at some point, to where they haven't just flat out said, okay, you slept with Susan that lived down on whatever street in Huntsville. That they haven't just flat out put a name on it and identify these infidelities. They said enough to strongly suggest that it's taking place, right? But they haven't been specific. Kiki put the red dot on the reunion, okay, and lined that laser up and pulled the trigger. That's what she did. And now Letitia and Marceau have to at least face it in conversation on the reunion stage. So it'll be interesting to see. But that's why Kiki ended up getting on the cast this season, obviously, because she's willing to go that far. And she's willing to take the story to a place that otherwise it just simply wouldn't go, because nobody's willing to do it. You know what I mean? And now she was, and here we are. And it was interesting to see Letitia fold and say, I did find a picture in his phone. I'm like, oh God, you just 5 seconds ago were saying how I trust my husband and that is it. And I am, I trust him. And so, no, I'm not going to leave him just because y'all said y'all seen something. Only to 5 minutes later, Kiki looked at her and Letitia said, well, I did. I'm like, oh, damn, here we go. Kiki didn't find a crack in the foundation, okay? So here we are, here, what can we do? We can't do nothing but sit there, just like Melody did, because she already knew what was going on. And Melody was just sitting there. She was like, I ain't gotta fight this one. Let it out. Let him play it out. So it's great television. At the end of the day, this is great reality television. Fantastic job to Kingdom Reign Entertainment, OWN Network, the cast, the others, and the mothers. And let me just say this, because I know we got to wrap this up, right?
Yes.
This show has taken us to a place where we have to commit the cardinal black sin, right? And look at these people and say, yo mama, okay? The people that we have to say yo mama to are Melody, okay? Martell, okay? Melody, Martell, and Letitia. Those 3 mamas need a workshop. Okay, we need a mama on a reality show workshop where they see that they can be the matriarch, the peacemaker, instead of diving headfirst into the mess. You too involved, Melody's mama had to sit up on the stage and lie about dealing with the other Scott brother because she's too involved and she couldn't be a nurturing matriarch and try to bring some union back to the cast. Same thing with Martell's mom, Marlene, getting on here every chance she gets and trashing Melody, you know what I mean? And supporting Martell blindly when she knows, just like we do, why we're here, okay? Letitia's mama, Wanda, we don't even have to go there. Yes, we've enjoyed Miss Wanda. She's hilarious, and she is a firecracker of personality. Put her on the radio. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be stirring it up here. She'd be a great morning radio personality. Can't you hear? Good morning, Bessemer. Let's ride and drive at 5. Today we got Show Enough Wanda's morning show. Where is that? Put her on the radio, Bessemer. But get her off the cast doing the things that they're doing. Now, it's fine for us to have a little mess and to have people that will push that pedal, because we need those people on the cast. But when it gets to a point where you can no longer just where we're not talking about your relationship to these main cast members. We're not talking about you and your personal choices. You've gone too far at that point. Letitia's mom's commentary should be about Letitia and what's going on in this show, not about her versus other people. Melody's mom's commentary and offering contribution to the show should be about what's going on in her POV as a mother to a daughter who's newly divorced and figuring it out with 4 children and a husband who had a 5th child and all this other stuff. But she's personally involved in carrying on with one of the Scott brothers. And now she's got to defend herself. Martell's mama, same thing. Too involved in the wrong way. So they just need a workshop. I've enjoyed it, but we didn't have enough. Okay. So we need a workshop so we can like their mamas. Everybody wants to be nice to their friends' mamas and look at their friends' mamas and revere them and have respect for them. Okay. And it's hard when you think about Melody's mama laying up, and kicking it with, the other Sky brother, and then not telling us the truth about, which is her business, and she's entitled to do that. But now it's a part of the show, and it just wasn't supposed to be. You feel me? So we need the mothers to be the mothers.
And it goes to show you how small that community is in terms of their friendship and their
and the overlap. Yeah,
listen, the show's a gold mine. I'm super proud to be a part of it. And
yes,
what I will say to you is coming up next week, next Saturday, part 2 reunion. Y'all saw some of the sneak peeks. We have Destiny coming up, where I question her being on the show. People are saying the show's called Love and Marriage. You don't have one or the other. What's going on, sis? We got Stormy coming through. People say she's too ghetto. This is not Love and Hip Hop. This is Love and Marriage. So we talk about that. And it's the continuation of what happened when Tisha saw the photo in Marcel's phone. So part 2 of the Love and Marriage Concert reunion.
We're ready.
Next Saturday, 8 o'clock, 7 Central on the Oprah Winfrey Network. So my boy, Dustin, let the world know where they can find you, follow you, support you, and all the amazing things you have going on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carlos. You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @LookAtDustin. All Facebook is the same thing, and that's where you can keep up with all of it. And watch Bet on Black on Revolt TV. Listen to The Friend Zone and listen to Holding Court with my baby, my sister, Ebony K. Williams. That's where you can find me. Yep. And in the comments and in the audience watching and listening to Reality with the King, I love the fact that you added these visuals, right? Another dynamic to the conversation. So smart. So I subscribe to that channel too. I love you here. Thank you so much for having me, Carlos.
No, thanks for being a part of this. I love you, brother, and we shall see each other soon.
Yes, very soon. Yes.